So building pivot tables. Now, when you build a pivot table, let me just get some data. So if I have a look at the data here, your data must follow certain rules before you can build a pivot table. So I'll just list some out, some very important ones. The data obviously has to be in one single sheet, obviously. You can't build pivot tables in Excel from two different sheets, unless, of course, you have the new tool called Power Pivot, which is another topic. So for pivot table, you must have your data in one place. And that data must have one row of headings. So if you look at these headings here, they should be in a single row. So you can't have two rows of headings. You shouldn't have any empty columns or empty rows. So no empty columns. Your columns shouldn't be empty or empty rows. Your dates must be in a single column. All your dates must be in a single column. And another rule is every unique item must have its own heading or have its own column. So for example, I have line of business here. It has its own column. I know some reports that line of business, there will be a line of business heading, and then you have data under that. Then you have another line of business heading and then data under that as well. That's not allowed. You can't do that. And of course, I said this already, your dates must be in a single column. It's very important that your dates are in one column like this, because some data, you could have dates going this way, where you have January, February, March, April, May, June, like that, and that doesn't work. Now, if you look to the right here, I have some reports already like preset. If you look at this report, so this report has various rows and columns. Now, when you're designing a report in a pivot table, once your data is good and clean, the very first thing you should do really is draw your report on paper. So this is we're using this as the paper we're drawing our report on. So once you draw your report on paper, then you ask yourself, what items are in these categories? What items are in my rows? So as you could see, my rows are made up of model. I think the model maybe is a product model. So my rows are made up of models, or have models in my rows. Then what do I have in my column? What do I have in my column? As you can see here, I have North Central, Northeast, Northwest. So I have my regions in my columns. I have my regions in my columns. So two questions I've asked: what do you have in your rows? What do you have in your columns? And then what data are you analyzing? So if you look in here, I'm analyzing revenue, but I'm analyzing revenue as a percentage of grand total. So that's how I'm analyzing revenue. And then you now ask the last question, which is, what can I use to filter my entire report? So I've asked what is in my rows, what is in my columns, what data am I analyzing, and then what can I use to filter my entire report? So that means if I click on something, I can see this whole report, for example, could be for a location, like this could be for a market. I don't know, different markets. So you could see the market up here, or line of business. If I pick a certain line of business, the entire report will change. That means line of business is my report filter. So once you write those things down, then you can build your pivot table.
Thanks for watching another training video from dbrownconsulting. See you in the next video.